Hi, I'm Chris Newcomb. Welcome to Off Center. Tonight's show is going to be about masks. The masks that we wear as we walk out into the world to protect ourselves, to give images of ourselves that we'd like others to see, all those types of masks. Now, we all know that there are masks that are worn at Halloween or at costume parties. There are masks that are used in theater. But we also know of masks in terms of makeup. Sometimes we put mascara on, for example, but we put on lipstick, or you put on different things. It might be hair color, it might be styling, it might be tattoos, maybe piercings. All that is sort of makeup. It's all masks that we wear. But I'm talking about the kind of masks that we wear to hide the parts of ourselves that we don't want others to see. Specifically, those of us who have worn masks to deny our own sexuality to ourselves, or maybe to others. Tonight you're going to meet a woman named Sandra. Sandra's a fabulous person and a great friend of mine. I'm really glad to have her on the show. And most of the show is actually Sandra's story. And you're going to see, in her case, it's more about taking the masks off, not putting them on. We're also going to hear from a friend of mine, Paul Brahms, little snippets here and there Paul has to say, some nice little things. I'm glad to have him on the show. You're going to have some music from Scott Brown, some mandolin just kind of playing in and out here and there maybe. And what else? We might get a machine by Arthur Ganson, but I'm thinking I'm running out of time, and I'm recording this before I finish putting the show together. So if we get him in here, it'd be great. If we don't, you'll get him next time. And what else? Oh, we're going to have a piece from Hedwig and the Angry Inch called The Origins of Love. A piece that I'm very thrilled to bring to you. It's about 7 minutes long. It's a piece of animation within the film Hedwig and the Angry Inch. I think you'll really enjoy that. So, sit back and enjoy Off Center, and thanks for tuning in.
Tuesday, September 11th, right? 12th was Wednesday, 13th was Thursday, 14th was Friday, 15th Saturday, 16th, September 16th, my father's birthday actually. That's Sunday, the headline in the paper when I went to the market. I waited for the like I did this morning, waited for the Hannigans to open. And they open at 8:30 on Sunday instead of 8 o'clock. So I'm standing there, and the only other people that are up at that time on a Sunday morning who haven't been partying all night are people who are old, quite a bit older, right? So I'm standing there with this group of older fellow citizens, you know. We're just mulling about. Doors open, everybody floods to get the paper, so me and all these old men are standing around the paper, and I see the headlines, and I just went ballistic. I was like, the headline said, war, in big letters. I was like, war? No, that's wrong! You know, we're missing the whole point. The whole point is that the whole world is together in mourning right now. You know, we're not at war.
Ladies and gentlemen, I recently found my first diary, aged 2 through 6. It was fully illustrated. As I unrolled the pages, I realized that so many people have touched me on my way to this stage tonight. How can I say who touched me the most? My father, the American GI? Could it have been my East German mother?
Kinderschänder! Pervert! Fixer! 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 Get out! Get out! Go on! Go on! Westfutter! Westfutter!
When the earth was still flat, and clouds made of fire, and mountains stretched up to the sky, sometimes higher. Folks roamed the earth like big rolling kegs. They had 2 sets of arms, they had 2 sets of legs, they had 2 faces peering out of one giant head, so they could watch all around them as they talked while they read, and they never knew nothing of love. It was before the origin of love. Origin of love. there was three sexes, then one that looked like two men glued up back to back. They called the children of the sun, and similar in shape and girth was the children of the earth. They looked like two girls rolled up in one. And the children of the moon was like a fork shoved on a spoon. They was part sun, part earth, part daughter, part son. The origin of love. Now the gods grew quite scared of our strength and defiance, and Thor said, I'm gonna kill them all with my hammer, like I killed the giants. But Zeus said, no, you better let me use my lightning like scissors, like I cut the legs off the whales, dinosaurs into lizards. And then he grabbed up some bolts, he let out a laugh, said I'll split them right down the middle, gonna cut them right up in half. And the storm clouds gathered above into great balls of fire. And then fire shot down from the sky in bolts like shining blades of a knife. And it ripped right through the flesh of the children of the sun and the moon and the earth. And some Indian god threw the wound up to a hole, pulled around to our belly to remind us the price we pay. And Osiris, the gods of the Nile, gathered up a big storm to blow a hurricane, to scatter us away. A flood of wind and rain, the sea of tidal waves, to wash us away. And if we don't behave, they'll cut us down again, and we'll be hopping around on one foot, looking through one eye. The last time I saw you, we just split in two. You was looking at me, I was looking at you. You had a way so familiar, I could not recognize, 'cause you had blood on your face, I had blood in my eyes. But I could swear by your expression that the pain down in your soul was the same as the one down in mine. That's the pain that cuts a straight line down through the heart. We called it love. We wrapped arms around each other, tried to shove ourselves back together. We was making love, making love. It was a cold, dark evening, such a long time ago, when by the mighty hand of Jove, it was a sad story how we became lonely two-leg creatures. A story, the origin of love. That's the origin of love. Oh yeah, the origin of love. The origin of love. The origin of love.
Well, tonight I have a friend of mine here, Sandy, who's I've known for about 10 years. And Sandy and I first met, well actually over 10 years ago, we were in a play in Bangor Community Theater. It was a James Thurber's Carnival.
Wonderful show.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was Bob Libby directed it.
That's right.
Reminded me of that today.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy that played. Remember, he played the general, dark hair. Do you remember his name at all? Oh God, he was funny. Like, isn't it awful all the people you acted in their names? Anyway, we've known each other so a little bit over, I don't know, maybe 12, 13 years. And I moved to Portland area 10 years ago, and I haven't heard from Sandy, I don't think, since then. And I get this call about 2 weeks ago, and it's Sandy. And it was a message on my machine, and I couldn't figure out what it was, but she said, there you go. Right there, we got it right there. She said, you've got to call me, I have some news to tell you. And so I called, and
We talked.
That's
right.
We talked, we had a good talk.
That's right.
So where do you want to go with this?
Well, when I was cleaning my house, my apartment, because I'm moving to Florida, all of a sudden here's a piece of paper with your name and phone number on it. And I said, my gosh, I am going to call that guy because I haven't seen him in 10 years. And each time I think of you, I remember that one little 2-minute episode that we had backstage at the Thurber's Carnival, when you said to me, Sandy, I just came out. And I said in my naivety and my stupidity, from where? And
Came out from the grocery store.
that's right. Well, I decided to call you and tell you I came out. And here I am today.
And Sandy came out in a big way, let me tell you, in a big way.
Right. Well, I'm a transsexual, post-operative, because I had surgery in Montreal almost 2 years ago, and breast augmentation, the whole 9 yards, and now I've decided to move to Florida because you can't live in a community for almost 30 years and for all of a sudden to become stealth when everybody has known you in the other form for so many years. As a matter of fact, even at work now, well, I no longer work there, I quit, but I've even referred to as him and he, and it bothers me, and I try to correct them, and most people are accepting and correct it themselves. There are a few people who are nasty about it, and I want to go where. Well, you remember the old sitcom Cheers, where in the theme song where everybody knows your name. Well, I want to go where nobody knows me, and that's the way it's going to be.
Well, tell me something. When I knew you,
I was a short, fat, balding kid, man, and here I am.
And was there any indication at that point that the whole transsexual thing was coming to you? What was going on? I mean, where were you at that point in your life? It was just sudden?
Never thought that I would ever be sitting here like I am from that period of time. Never even contemplated having surgery. It was the farthest thing from my mind, but I enjoyed the period of time when I was cross-dressing. And believe me, I cross-dressed as much as I could, but I was so fearful if a car stopped in front of my house, I would quickly run to the window to see if somebody was coming. And if somebody was coming, I'd quickly turn the lights off and run upstairs and turn on the shower, pretend nobody was home. This living is not an easy thing to do.
So how long were you cross-dressing?
I remember going back as early as age 5 or 6.
Oh wow!
Right, not in.
I mean, that was just sort of playfulness.
Right, but it was it might have been a sexual gratification at the time. I don't know.
Did you have any? All right. So when you're younger and you're cross-dressing, did you have any sense of feeling like wanting to be a woman or anything, or just you liked cross-dressing? You liked the.
When I did it, it felt wonderful. It felt liberating. It felt alive. I wanted to be a woman at the time, but I denied it. I suppressed it because it wasn't the thing to do. If I was ever found out, I thought I would be a deviant person. I'd be a pervert.
All right, you gotta help me and help you. So the difference then between transvestites and transsexuals is very different. I mean, there's a lot of transvestites who are not gay. They're just men who like to wear women's clothes.
Right.
But they're not men that necessarily feel like a woman.
That's right.
So they just like, they just love putting on other clothes.
Let me tell you something that I heard not too long ago. And there's more of a technical term for these people, but I like to refer them, and I've heard it being referred to as a primary transsexual and a secondary transsexual. A primary transsexual starts with a young boy who is perhaps more effeminate, plays with girls' things, likes to play with girls, in growing up in the teenage years, recognizing that they might be homosexual, gay, and early in their 20s they will cross-dress and eventually be transsexuals, want to live as a woman, dating or cavorting with a man. And they find that those transsexuals tend to be younger, in their early or mid-20s or early 30s. Now a secondary transsexual, someone like myself, who leads a very heterosexual lifestyle, sports, girlfriends, marriage, fathering children, the whole macho, male dominating type of atmosphere, and only later in life, call it a midlife crisis, whatever it might be, these people will become transsexual, or be transsexuals, but latent transsexuals, living more in the closet.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, that closet could be cold, damp, and very dark.
Well, you were telling me today that you love to act and you're great at acting.
Mm-hmm.
You gave up theater because of what?
Because rehearsals of 6 weeks would mean getting home at midnight or 11 o'clock at night, far too late to ever cross-dress, and it took time away from my ability to cross-dress.
And you can't do it out in the street. You can't do it anywhere else at that time.
Oh
Where
my
you were,
gosh,
so I mean, in your mind, you knew you couldn't.
I was scared for my neighbor to ever find out, or anybody else. I thought I would be ostracized from the community. Now, it just so happened, and this is
I have to say, I'm going to say this. We'll probably edit this out. But I was thinking about this. You said something about how fearful you felt, and yet there are people that scared to death that if they were that people knew they masturbated, they'd be they think it'd be the scariest thing in the world.
Or pick their nose.
But we all do. We all do.
That's
It's part
right.
of the thing. So then
Right.
add to that, on top of that, the idea of being a cross-dresser.
Mhm.
I mean, it's amazing, but especially with cross-dressing, you can see.
So it was about 3 years ago, actually 3 years ago, I had a female roommate, a former girlfriend of mine who was, thankfully we were platonic at the time. And
No, I want to stop for just 1 second. So, tell me about when you. I think you were about to tell me when you first came out.
well, I'll tell
But
you.
before you do, let's.
Yeah.
I want to look at you. I want to look
Okay,
more at
sure.
you. Okay. So why don't you turn a little bit if you could?
Sure.
And yeah.
Good. Okay. Well, prior to that, I had this female roommate, a platonic relationship at the time. Prior to that, we had a loving relationship, and the good thing about it was that her working hours were till 11 p.m. or midnight every night, and I would get home at 5 p.m., and so I would have the hours, and I would borrow her clothes, and what have you.
What a great roommate.
So yeah.
So hold on. So you were in a lover relationship for a while.
Prior to this.
Now,
And when she moved in, we were in a
were you
platonic
cross-dressing
relationship.
at the time?
Yes, of course.
When you were in a relationship with her?
Yeah,
Oh.
but
And she never knew.
no, God forbid. God forbid. So
Amazing.
here it was May of '98 when she was home one night in her room up in the second floor, and I'm sitting in the living room watching television, and I just all of a sudden just jumped up and I said, I can't do this anymore. I just can't live this lie anymore. And I walked, however slowly I walked, upstairs, and I said, I'm going to tell her. It took me about 20 minutes to get it out, but I finally said, Pat, I'm a TV. I didn't know any other term to use. Because I always thought I was the only one in the world who was like this. And she couldn't understand, and she said, are you gay? I said, no, I'm a TV, and then I said, I'm a transvestite. thinking that she would hit me over the head for all the years that I've put this over on her. But no, she was supportive. And then I said, would you like to see me dressed? And she said, yeah. So I went into my room and I put on some clothes. I put on a little makeup. It was going to be the very first time any living soul would have ever seen me dressed like a woman.
No, were you nervous or you at this point?
Oh,
were you
scared shitless. I mean, my God. Can you say that on
Were you
TV?
just-
I was very scared.
Yeah, I bet.
Very scared.
Now, how old are you at this time? Do you mind?
It's just 3 years ago, so I'm 58 now. I was
Okay.
55 at the time.
What an amazing thing to go through it.
Tell me about it.
What a courageous person.
So I'm 58 going on 38,
Yeah,
okay? And the first thing she said was, gee, Sandy, you're pretty.
How nice.
It was as if the 500-pound monkey just climbed off my back
That was so
and died. And she said then she said to me, but my boyfriend's coming over. So I said, I'll hide. And I hid in my room for about an hour. And I thought I heard footsteps going down the stairs. And I had to go to the bathroom. So I opened the door and walked to the bathroom. And I saw a light emanating from the bottom of the door. So I thought Pat was in the bathroom, and I yelled, Pat? And as she's answering from the bedroom, the bathroom door opens, and it's her boyfriend, Leo. And all I could say was, hi, Leo, I'm a transvestite. And he said, okay. So the next night, here I was already brazen enough to dress in front of them. I was sitting in the living room again, watching the boob tube, and I was dressed, cross-dressed, when Leo comes down the stairs and says, good night, Sandy. And I say, good night, Leo, and he goes through the back door, and it was May, so it was warm out at the time. And we left the back door open, and a few minutes later, I heard the screen door open, and I thought it was Leo again, and all of a sudden I hear, hey, Dad.
Oh my God.
I had to pick up the teeth from my teeth from the floor. It was my son, and I had no place to hide. So I said, Tom, come on into the living room. There's something I want to tell you. He came in and he went back like this. He was shocked, but he sat down. We talked for about a half hour. He got up, he hugged me, and he said, Dad, I still love you. And that was validation. That was so. Here it was, May of '98, the latter part of May, and I confided in an employee at my part-time job at the airport in Bangor. And before I knew it, everybody and his brother knew about it.
Now, when you finally did you feel a need to tell everybody or not?
Yeah.
I did too, remember? I mean,
Yeah,
that's why I told
yeah.
you I just had to tell everybody. I don't know if it's a function of being a little older and tired of it finally.
That's
Enough's
right.
enough.
But in a way, I was happy that she spread the word to everybody.
Absolutely.
Although I was outwardly a little upset about it. And I felt that so many people had known about it. I still hadn't come out physically, just telling people.
So most of the people you're telling haven't seen you as a woman at this point.
No,
Just heard.
no, just heard
Yeah.
about it. So I didn't want the boss at
You know,
my full-time job to hear about this.
From today's experience, I would say it's almost easier to see you than it is to hear it.
Well, of course.
You know what I mean? Because it was when I heard you on the phone tell me, I still had only image I ever had of you was Sandy, this man. So it's much different seeing you. It's great.
Well, I didn't want the boss at the radio station I worked at, full-time job, to find out behind my back. So I called the guy. It was a Friday night. It was June 5th, 1998. It will be ingrained in my head for the rest of time. And I said, Jerry, there's something very important I want to discuss with you. And I want to meet with you tomorrow morning, which would have been Saturday, at a Burger King or McDonald's. I needed a public place because I didn't want him to act out on me.
Now, you worked there for how long?
About 3 years.
Okay. And did you have a good relationship with him as a work relationship?
Testy at best,
Okay.
because he's that type of dominating, didactic boss.
Gotcha.
who says it's my ball and bat, and you will play the.
Nah, he's a
my
radio
rules.
guy. He's a
That's
radio.
right.
Yeah, he's one of
That's
those
right.
guys.
But he refused to meet me. He insisted that I tell him over the phone. And like a fool, I did. I told him that I was cross-dressing for 50 some odd years and I was ready to come out. And I promised him that I would go to every client of mine. I had a lot of them. And I would tell everybody in advance. And if anybody felt uneasy
In
or
advance of what?
uncomfortable,
You wanted to
in
try to
advance
come
of
out.
coming out,
So you want to come out and still sell?
yeah,
Right.
I still wanted to be gainfully employed.
Yeah.
And I promised him I would go to every one, and if anybody felt uneasy or uncomfortable about it, I would turn that client over to another salesperson. He was not supportive. He said to me I shouldn't do anything for at least a year, and I don't know why he did that, but we left it at that. And then the first thing the following Monday morning, I walked into the office, his fists were clenched, his teeth were tight, his eyes were glaring, and he fired me. No questions asked, no discussion, no nothing.
You fired.
And I was fired. I knew very well because a few months before any of this came up, I was walking through the mall and stopped off at past the earring store, and as an impulse I had my ears pierced. I had a little starter stud in each ear. The following day, the boss at the radio station saw them and went ballistic, threatening to fire me right then and there, that this community was too small for something like that.
You're serious?
I had to take one of the studs out to accommodate them. So
That's hilarious. That's great.
So I came out.
So there's a law in Bangor in 1998. One earring is okay.
One earring is fine.
It's funny, but that's the thing that's so funny, the standards we have.
Mhm.
For example, if a man wears a skirt, it's considered something weird. But if the man happens to be Scottish and wearing a kilt, that's a totally okay thing.
And if a woman wears slacks or jeans, male clothes, that's fine.
But 40 years ago, that wasn't fine.
Well,
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's so funny, and that's all what's called a cultural assumption or a cultural kind of thing. When we bring these things to it, they're not they aren't real. It's just that we have these things that we agree upon as a culture. This is acceptable, and it's in a culturally acceptable norm. So it's culturally acceptable in Bangor for a man to have one earring in, but if he has two,
it's
over
taboo.
the line. Now in
That's right.
Portland, I mean,
That's
look at
right.
all these earrings now. That means nothing because now, if you're perceived as a woman, you can have as many earrings as
That's
you want.
right. Well, I don't want to
So
be
odd.
perceived as a woman because I am a woman
Right.
now. So I came out, and they call it RLT, real life testing, which you must do at least a year, full time, 24/7.
They meaning who calls?
I'm sorry?
Who's they when you say they call it real life testing?
The clinicians, to get any approval for ultimate surgery,
Okay.
you've got to
Yeah.
go through hoops.
All right, but now you made a huge jump. You've been cross-dressing for all these years, and you finally come out as a cross-dresser. But when did it dawn on you that it was more than cross-dressing? You wanted to be a woman. Because
I'll tell you, when
was that-
I told the very first person,
So you weren't even aware until then, right?
no,
That's
I wasn't.
And then how long before that idea or feeling finally came into words for you to know, oh my God, I'm going to do this?
instinctively, it just came,
Just there.
about. It just happened. I started dressing full-time July 6th, 1998. And I threw out every male clothes. I didn't really throw it out. I bagged them up and took them to the Salvation Army. So I had nothing left of male clothes. So even if I wanted to go back into the male genre, I had to go out and I would have to go out and
Right.
shop, and I wouldn't do that. So here I was it, and so I haven't looked back.
My God, that's amazing.
And it's
You know, what was it like the first time you walked out in public and just finally did it?
I'll tell you, the first
And where did you go?
Prior to this, I would get in my car late at night and drive around the block, drive around the street.
Oh, the stuff we go through, isn't it amazing?
After I came out to my roommate, I felt somewhat brazen about this, and I went to the mall. It was late at night, about right before closing, and I went to GNC at the Bangor Mall, where I usually frequent, and I know the manager there. And
Now, what'd you have for hair then? Did you wear a wig?
I wore a wig, yeah. And the first thing he said, he put his arm around me and he said, "Sandy, you need a shave."
That's
So
great.
I quickly left. Now 255 hours of electrolysis later, it's such a thrill not having to shave.
Oh, you don't have to shave at all?
Oh no. No. I see one black hair there. It's like Mount Vesuvius. No, I don't shave anymore. Do I look like I need a shave?
No, I hadn't thought about it. So is that, it's partly the hormones and then the electrolysis?
More so the electrolysis.
Amazing.
255 hours.
What a commitment.
And so,
Now, anywhere through all that time and doing that thing, did you ever have a doubt? Or once you made this, I'm going, it's been full speed ahead?
I'll be honest with you, never
That's
have I
great.
had a doubt.
Yeah.
I never thought that it would culminate, but I never had a doubt.
So, all right, so usually when it sounds to me like you've opened this door and stepped into a huge part of yourself. So forget the clothes, forget the sex change. Who is Sandy now? How are you a bigger person? Are you a new person? Is there a part of you? Are you discovering parts of you that you've
Somebody
always...
said to me, you know, now that you're like this, you seem to be calmer, more alive. And I who knows? You know, it's the perception of others upon you.
Yeah,
I feel alive.
yeah.
I'm me,
That
but
sounds
I'm no different than I've always been. I'm still the same person. And I
Now
don't.
you're on estrogen?
Yes.
Now, has that changed any part? Do you find yourself responding to things differently because of that at all? Or do you know what I mean?
I'm not as macho.
Well, that's
I'm
definitely...
not.
But that drive is sort of that...
Yeah, the drive is gone. It's not a male-dominating drive anymore.
Do you respond to people differently, you find?
Oh sure, I'm calmer.
See, I like that, but I also hate it, because I hate to think that there is such a difference between men and women.
There is.
At that part I want to think that we can all be better
There
than that.
is,
Because
yes.
men seem sometimes to think, oh, come on, be better than that. Be
Now,
bigger than
what's funny is at the airport, when I announced I was coming out full-time, they had a meeting, they got a meeting together of all the employees but me, to talk about me. And the one thing that came out is some of the female employees didn't want me to use their bathroom. So there were two restrictions placed upon me. One was the bathrooms, where I was relegated to a specific ladies' room in the boondocks.
Yeah.
A good 8 to 10.
Bad bathroom. Stay away from
That's
that
right.
one. Don't go to that bathroom. That's
right.
Sandy's bathroom.
That's right. The other restriction is in the security screening, when a person comes through that can't go through the walkway, they might have to be patted down. They might have a pacemaker or...
You weren't allowed?
So since I was dressed as a woman, I couldn't pat down men. And because I was the woman, I couldn't pat down women.
Oh, stop.
So I was in limbo. I couldn't pat down either
You
men
became
or
the
women.
untouchable.
I
You could
became
be
a
touchy.
eunuch,
Yeah.
so to speak. So
No, but hold it. So still, but this is the Bangor airport, and they let you, but you still work there.
right, but dressed.
So it finally happened.
Right, it finally happened.
So that's, how did it go?
What, the surgery?
No, how did work go?
People still refer to me as he and him.
Now, do you think that's some of just, as I have said that today a couple times, just out of, because I'm used to that, and I'm trying to get over that. Do you think it's that, or is it just that they were being, you are him, and that's it? You're not going to accept
One or
this
two
really?
felt that way. One person wears her religiosity on her sleeve, her fundamentalist religion on her sleeve, and can't accept this.
Sure.
Most of the others, it's just a slip. You can't live in a community almost 30 years or working with the same people for 12
Did people finally, I mean, did they surprise you how they would finally come up to you and just relax and be with you? Or did they, was there always sort of an uptightness, or did people finally just relax and cool? No, never did?
No. There was
Well,
still
that's why
the
you go to Florida, of
there was
course.
still an underlying feeling that they knew me as a man, and that's.
I don't know why I asked that. I mean, people that knew me for all those years married had the most difficult time. They couldn't accept me being divorced, but much less being divorced and gay. You know, and that's just, how can you be that? You know, all those questions. And I forget now. It's been 10 years. And I forget how even important some things were to me back then. These little steps I took were so huge, and now it's just commonplace to me. I wouldn't even think of that. But
And that's
I
the
had
way
been
I
locked in
feel.
a mindset, and that's so much of what this show's about, is about how we get, you know, we get locked into things, and we see things from a certain perspective, but if we just turn a corner, oh. I mean, I remember when a friend of mine, I said to him once, I felt like I was coming to the edge of, you know, sort of my reality. I was a little afraid that I was going to step over the edge, and he wrote back, "There's an edge." and it was funny, and I laughed, and then I thought, what a perception I have that that's the edge of the universe, that that's the edge of reality. And then I realized it's like, I thought of reality instead of now being a sphere, oh, it's just the beginning of another reality, perhaps. And then that vision of that, the horizon of that reality is just the beginning of another.
Unfortunately, people can't see the forest from the trees.
Absolutely, and they don't want to. It's safe in
That's
their
in their
reality.
little womb, in their little
Right.
conclave. You did but you did a thing that I applaud you for. You moved to a place where nobody knew you per se.
Well, my situation was my job was gone. I was
Mhm.
coming out and I was going through divorce, and the budget for my job was canceled, so my job was out. And I thought for my kids' sake, I have 4 kids, I thought for my kids' sake it'd be nice if I was a little in another town at least, so that they didn't have to necessarily deal with my coming out if they didn't want to. I could deal with it. And being in Portland 2 hours away was just enough. It did work out really nicely for me, for them, for everyone. But I didn't move because of that. I moved because of the job situation, but I'm really glad that it did work that way, because as you're saying, I could walk into a new reality. Everybody I've met in the last 10 years knows me as Chris now. They don't know me as any other Chris. So they accept me at full value. Here I am.
That's
And
right.
you're going to find in Florida, people will meet you. Well, tell me about Florida. You're moving to Florida, and you told me today, I just have a hint that there's somehow you've met some people there, there's something very promising, welcoming there.
Of course, I availed myself of the internet
Mhm.
and found chat rooms and transgendered websites and so forth. And from that, I found some organizations in South Florida. When I got down there, I contacted this one organization called TRIAS, which is an organization for cross-dressers and spouses. And I was speaking with the woman there, and she said, when I told her I was transsexual, she said, call this woman up. So I called this other woman, Gloria, a wonderful woman who recently had surgery where I was in Montreal last September. And we hit it off great. And from her, I met her roommate. I met another woman who's a pre-op. She hasn't had surgery yet, but she's full-time. She had breast augmentation, and she and I will be living together. I met more people, more transsexuals down there in the 2 weeks I was there than in the 3 years I've lived in Bangor, Maine.
Oh, imagine.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm moving. I want to go where nobody knows me. As a matter of fact, I met another woman by the name of, on the internet, called by the name of Roxy. That's not her real name, because in her function in, I think she's in Pompano, she's a real estate agent, and she goes by her real name, which I won't say, because this might be shown in Florida, I don't know. But she's stealth, and that's what I'd like to be.
Now, I want to ask you a question, and I want to jump on the internet over here, and I want to get that website up, and I want to see if I can find it. And if we can, I want to put it on the air so people know it. And do you know if there's a website you mentioned that I can get? You
Sure.
give people websites.
Sure.
That would be very cool, because one of the things about this whole thing about cross-dressing and the masks, I mean, it's one thing for me as a gay man. I was under many masks, and I was afraid for years and years and years. But if there's levels of fear, I would imagine that what Sandy has dealt with is a much harder thing. I mean, it's just such a cultural norm to break.
Well,
So
now
for
I
people,
have,
but
I
for
have to
people who
sit
are
on
there,
the sit on the toilet. I can't stand any longer.
that's right. So there's all, but the what I'm getting at, there's so many people that if perhaps you're watching this, maybe if you just knew there was somebody or a website or there are organizations, that's a real cool thing to even know that you aren't alone. I mean, I was gay and I felt totally alone. For God's sake, there's just millions of gay people, but I was so blinded by my fear that I felt totally alone.
And the fear can be your own worst enemy. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that.
So I was going to ask you to tell us about something. What was it when I disappeared?
Websites.
Not that yet. Some experience I was thinking of. When you. Oh, I know what it is, and we haven't talked about this. I don't think. And that is, so now you're a woman,
Mm-hmm.
right? And do you have any desire for a relationship? And do you want to be with men or with women? And we'll let you answer that. Talk right to that camera. And all those people already find the website.
Well,
I leave you with that.
May I be blatantly honest?
Oh no, lie to us. Of course, be honest.
I've always said I feel like I'm a lesbian, but I want the experience of one man, just to see how it is to be to have a man. I've had two brief male relationships in the past couple of months, and unfortunately they didn't work out for one reason or another. We'll see what happens. So I consider myself bi now, okay?
So, that's it. But would you be with a woman? Do you know?
I would,
That's interesting.
if I could.
So the desire to be a woman and the desire to be with a woman or a man is different. You know what I mean? Does that sound too... In other words, my assumption, here's my very limited assumption, I would think that if I became a woman, that my desire would be to be with a man. But that's not necessarily true at all, is it?
I'll tell you what.
Because here I am, a man who wants to be with a man, and everybody thinks I want to be with a woman. Of course.
Sex is between the legs. Gender is between the ears. So one thing has nothing to do with
Yeah.
the other.
I mean, yeah. Why am I being so stupid? But that's how, I get limited in my thinking. I don't know. There it is.
Yep. Okay.
Well, here's a website that I went to see a movie called Southern Comfort back in April.
Oops.
No, it was early February, I think.
Where am I now? Okay. Go ahead.
I went to see. I was down in New York in February, I believe it was, and I went to see a film at the Film Forum called Southern Comfort. Amazing film. The film is about Robert, who was born female, and Lola, who was born male, and they transgendered. They fall in love. It's set in backwards Georgia. Southern Comfort tells the real-life story of Robert, I don't know how to say his last name, E-A-D-S, a warm and gregarious cowboy who as a woman married and raised two sons, then transitioned to living as a man. It's the most wonderful story, and it's about an entire community of transgendered and transsexual people. It's amazing, amazing, amazing film. And the website is that this information is actually from the Film Forum, but it's www.filmforum.com, and look under different kinds of films. One of the links is to gender issues, and this is another website, and this is what? Songweaver.com is the name of the website. So it talks all kinds of gender issues.
Try Planet Out.
Planet Out is that's for all types of gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgendered things. They have a film video contest I hope to enter a piece in this year. But that's Planet Out is a great website, planetout.com. So you mentioned some websites that
Well,
really
there's
help you.
TGNI.com.
TGNI?
Yeah.
Which means what?
Transgendered Network International.
Okay, not take too long. TGNI.com.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how fast this little system will go. Hey, look at that!
Let's see if anybody's on. From here, I looked up sweet features or something like that, and let's see.
See, this is the kind of thing that's so wonderful about the internet. People can get some access to information and freedom to things that they could not have before, had to go through a librarian, had to go somewhere else.
Here's the one that I'm dealing with, Eden Society.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to Maine.
What do we have for me? Do we have much?
Well, we have one in Brewer, Jean Churchill, and here's the number.
Mm-hmm.
She's not in Brewer anymore. Another one in Augusta. Here's one in Portland. Transport.
That's great. That is one of the really cool things about the internet, you gotta admit, is that there's freedom for people to do things without having someone look over their shoulders. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of stuff, and it's been really fun, but we haven't talked about one part of this, and that's the surgery. That's the knife, that's the stuff.
Right, well...
I mean, two things. One, just the surgery itself, what that was like, and stuff. But the other thing is, with that decision, with that final, man, I'm going there, that's a huge thing. Was it easy when you finally got there, or...?
Well, I found a lot of other people the same vein, so it made it a lot more comfortable for me. Went up to Montreal on October 14th, 1999, stayed in the residence, and then went to the hospital on the 19th, or the night of the 18th, and had my surgery at 8 o'clock the following morning. And the first thing I knew after that, I was waking up in the waiting room, and here I was.
Wow.
Was
it one surgery?
It was one
Just
surgery,
once.
vaginoplasty and breast augmentation. The worst part about it was I had to sleep on my back for 2 weeks, and I'm not a back sleeper, so that's what happened.
So, what did you feel like when you? I mean, did your body feel different? Did you feel different? Did everything feel different?
I had a bag, a urine. What is it?
I don't know the name of it. Yeah.
You know. Where I had a little tube out of the bag to urinate in the toilet. And that was cool because I could hold it in because it drained automatically.
Yeah.
And or went into the urine went into the bag automatically, and whenever it filled up, I went to the bathroom and uncocked it. And,
Let it out.
yeah.
No, so was that because you had to train yourself how to?
No, it's
No?
because there was packing.
Oh.
They put packing in the vaginal
So
area.
is there anything different about going to the bathroom now? Or is it
Yeah, I
the
have to
same?
sit all the time now.
Right.
I can't spell my name in the snow anymore.
Well, being a woman may be wonderful, but that's a
Right.
gift that men have.
Well,
well, you could, but you'd have to run around
That's
and
right.
straight.
No, it's now part of me. I'm a woman, and I love every minute of it.
Did you feel like a woman immediately, or not? After that?
No. Oh, I mean, it takes a while, but sure, when that happens, initially you have the...
What was the first time? So you've now had your operation. The first time you got dressed up after your operation, what did you feel like? And what did it look like?
I didn't dress up. I'll tell you what happened. Prior to the surgery, prior to coming out, I was dressed outlandishly, like you would find the drag queens. The high heels, the heavy makeup, and what have you. Once I came out, that started to relax itself, and it's certainly when I had the surgery. First of all, sexually, a woman doesn't reach the climax, the sudden physical climax that a man does or has. It's different. Let me put it that way.
So is that different for you too now?
Of course.
Well, that's interesting.
Oh yeah. Well, I have no sperm left, so I can't ejaculate.
So, but do you still climax?
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that something that happens for people eventually, in a way? I
So
mean, is it different?
it happens, but it's more of an emotional thing
Yeah,
rather than
yeah.
a physical thing, a sudden urging,
Yeah.
roaring physical thing. You know.
Mhm.
And then afterwards, the man lights up a cigarette.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's not the way it is for a woman. So
That's interesting. That's great.
right.
Wow.
I got to tell you an interesting story, and I don't know if you know the person. When I was looking in the transgendered website that we were looking at before, I picked out this woman's name in the Brewer area, a woman by the name of Jean Churchill. So I called her up and I left a message, and she called me back. And for about 20 minutes we're talking, and all of a sudden she says, I know you, Sandy. I said, you do? She said, I'm Jean so-and-so. And we were in a play together. Wow, these theater people come out of the woodwork. And sure enough, she was in a play, Cabaret, that I was in. She played an MC, but of course she was a man at the time. She has since had her surgery. So she is my mentor.
That's
the
wonderful.
very first person I met who was transsexual. And from I met a few others in a support group, but I met a lot more in Florida, I'll tell you that.
Do you ever feel there's nothing for you to hide anymore, so there's no closet at all for you, right?
The closet is gone.
That's really exciting.
Thankfully, yeah.
And going to Florida should be like this fabulous start to me, I would think. This fabulous restart in your life.
Well, like I mentioned to you earlier, that it's like the old sitcom Cheers, where the theme song says, "Where everybody knows your name." I want to go where nobody knows my name.
You see, 10 years from now, they'll know your name, but they'll know you as Sandra.
That's
They'll
right.
always know
That's
you.
right.
And that's
As
what's
a
wonderful.
woman,
It'll be
yes.
wonderful. You'll
That's
find
right.
it's great.
That's
I mean,
right.
your community of people and friends will be so deep and rich with who you really are. And that should be really wonderful.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. That's good. Thanks. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks
thank
for calling
you.
me. This
Thank
is
you for
exciting.
inviting me.
Have we missed anything? Is there anything we want to tell the whole world? Tell us. Do you want to know anything?
Please don't be tolerant of others, because not everybody is built out of the same mold.
And a good thing too, you know. So I don't know. We wear masks. We live in denial sometimes, and denial is an amazing, amazing thing. But it doesn't do anybody any good to deny whether it's your sexuality or it's just denying the fact that you want to do something or write a song or dance a dance or be someone. You know, denying is no good in one way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
So thanks for being with us.
Thank you very
thanks
much.
for being here at Off Center.
Speak on, Paul. In other words, you know, when you look at that symbol, what it represents to me is you can project your imagination right into it.
So what do you
And it
project
pops
with
right
your
out at the same
imagination
time.
into it?
What's that?
What do you project into that?
Me personally? I project that Ralph Nader should be president.
Recently, I was talking to a woman about Off Center, and she told me that she really didn't understand it. She said, "I just don't get it." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She said, "Well, I just don't understand it." And I told her, well, it was a television show. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end. It had some segues and that type of thing. I said it was a little different than shows she might be used to because it doesn't have commercials. I also explained that after all, the thing is off-center. So therefore, I don't go in a straight line anywhere. I'm always going down different paths. Because my viewpoint is that commercial television basically is designed to keep us going asleep. You know, it's designed not for us to think, it does the thinking for us, and then lulls us back to sleep so that we can buy more products. That's the whole purpose of it. So if I'm going to produce a television show and I expect viewers to watch it, then I expect you to ask questions. You're sort of in this on your own. I'm not going to think for you. You're going to have to think for yourself.
the origin of love. Now the gods grew quite scared of our strength and defiance, and Thor said, I'm gonna kill them all with my hammer, like I killed the giants. But Zeus said no, you better.
What bothered me mostly about this was that she was a librarian, and she had just refused to put Off-Center on the shelves of the library, or at least to catalog it, because she said she didn't get it. That was her only criteria for of not allowing Off-Center to be in the library. It made me leave with a lot of questions, and I wondered what kind of strange criteria that is for a library, you know, to bring content in, so that if she doesn't get it, we don't even get a chance to get it. Maybe you'll meet Sandra someday, or maybe someone like her. Maybe you already know someone like Sandra in your life, and you simply don't know it because they're hiding behind masks of self-protection or denial. If you do, I hope you'll be honest enough and willing to ask questions, to respond to them and give them the respect that any human being deserves. Perhaps also you'll applaud them for the courage that it takes to take and put at risk everything that you and I hold so dear. Friends, family, career, safety, love, the desire to be touched and loved. Well, anything would be better than to treat them with sort of that self-righteousness, that mask of self-righteousness that so many people wear, when all it really is a mask that hides the fear that we have of the unknown or the different. I'm Chris Newcomb. Thanks for joining me here at Off-Center. See you next time.
The origin of love, origin of love. Now there was 3 sexes, then one that looked like 2 men glued up back to back. They called the children of the sun, and similar in shape and girth was the children of the earth. They looked like 2 girls rolled up in one, and the children of the moon was like a fork shoved on a spoon. They was part sun, part earth, part daughter, part son. The origin of love.